Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Crafty Bugs Homecoming Mum Beehive. In this video, I'm going to show you working on two different mums on the skirts of these mums. And these mums were both from the 2023 homecoming season. So I just filmed when I could, and so I put two of these videos together for you guys. On this one, I am attaching bling to the skirt, so I'm showing you how I'm doing that. On the left side of the screen, you can see the finished mum, and on the right side, you can see what I'm doing. Now, there's different ways to attach bling to a mum, and this is just one of the ways that I like to do it, and I kind of just, it really depends on what mood I'm in, to be honest. On this one, I am gluing the bling to a small piece of scrap ribbon, so I save a lot of scrap pieces, even smaller ones, for reasons like this. So I just glue like the first three, I would say, I could guess the first three to the ribbon, and then have enough ribbon that you can staple to the backer. I do like my bling to hang down past the end of the backer, just to be like right there on the edge, or hang down just a little bit lower, because when you go to glue all your backers together, if you have that bling in between the backers, it's going to leave gaps, and that just drives me nuts. I can't stand that. So there you see I'm gluing some on the right side. Now this mum I did in a color block when I attached the ribbons. So black, white and silver, and orange. So it was like a combination of white and silver, I think, in the middle. Or maybe it was just silver. I can't remember. It was back in September, and this is April, so I can't remember exactly. But I also wanted to color coordinate the bling. I don't have any orange bling, so there was no orange bling to put on there, but I did have several different blacks and silvers, so she got a lot of bling on that side. And I'm also going to show you how I attached the feather boa. It's kind of hard to show this stuff because I kind of get in the way because I have to stand in front of it to do that. I'd be moving the camera all around, and that would take me a lot longer to make the mums. These are mums that, I have orders for, and I'm trying to get all my orders taken care of. So I don't have a lot of time to like set up a camera and set up the lights and all that. I just start kind of like halfway set it up and just start filming, and if I'm get a decent video out of it, then that's good. But like I said, during homecoming season, it's just too hard to like set up, and I can't do the full mums and all that. It's just too much. But I film what I can so I can share as much as I can. You'll also notice, if you're new to either of my channels, I do try to do quite a bit of live streams during homecoming season. So, I work on different parts of the mums during homecoming season on lives. So I did twist two boas together, a regular feather boa and then the marabou, and I twisted them together, but they're not going to stay together, so I did glue them together. I glued them together at the top, and then as I'm twisting them, I'll add just a little touch of glue to hold them together throughout the spiral. This customer has been a long time customer, and they really just kind of tell me what size she wants, and what activities and stuff she's into, and they just give me free range to do what I want. I can go really crazy on their mums too, and they don't care. They like it. I've done some crazy experimenting with their mums, and I always know that they're fine with it. They're not picky about that stuff. She likes when I do different stuff on them, so it's fun to experiment with hers. You can see me. I'm going to keep twisting these together, just adding little dabs of glue. Like I said, I'm not using very much, just enough to, like hold them together. And cut off what I don't need, because I only need 24 inches. Just putting them on that one side. I once took 3 feather boas, at least one time, in 3 different colors, and twisted them together too, and that was fun. And it was with this school because orange, they were orange, black, and white boas. These aren't like super expensive boas either. I can't remember on the black one, it may have been from Hobby Lobby, but you can buy like really, really full feather boas from there's places online. I have a couple places saved, but I haven't ordered from them yet. I really don't get that many people that want feather boas. A few, but usually they're just like fine with the Hobby Lobby ones. Now I've got a scrap piece of cardstock. Just happen to have a glitter cardstock there. I usually just use like poster board or something, but I happen to have a piece of white cardstock and I'm putting it through. I actually put it through one of them or between the two feather boas. And this is how I'm going to attach it to the backer. And this tip I got from Connie at the Southern Cottage, because I used to just attach my feather boa straight to the backer, glue and staple it. But if you use this method, it'll kind of hang off the side a little bit and it'll be out of the way. It won't fall behind. It'll be more on the side where you want it. So I glued that, and then I left the black is on the outside, so it'll cover up that white. And I'm just stapling it to the side of the backer, so it just at the edge of the right side of the backer. So I don't have it like shoved out real far. You can hang it off further if you want it sticking out further. But I just really want it on the side, and now it's not going to like fall in or fall behind or anything like that. It's really a great tip. And then any part of that glitter cardstock that was showing, because I really don't want that. Even though it's, pretty glitter cardstock, I don't want it showing where the feather bow is. So I glued the black feathers all around it so you can't see it sticking out in there. You'll notice there's like a little ribbon loop stapled to the backer there. That is not permanent. That is just for working on the mum. I just take a piece of scrap ribbon, staple that loop on there, so I can hang it up so I can work on it, and then once I'm ready to attach all the sections together, then I'll just cut that off because I don't need that. That's not going to be a ribbon necklace or a pin on or anything. That's just some luster or acetate, just a scrap piece, and it don't matter what color you use because you're going to cut it off. It's not going to show. I may have gotten that from Connie too. I can't remember. And I decided to add a little bit more black glitter ribbon. But I thought this was really pretty. It's blingy and glittery and just a lot of fun. Some of those braids were right there on the right that I was going to put on it. But I didn't get that filmed. I may have ran out of space or something. Who knows? I went ahead and just clipped some on there. It's kind of what it's going to look like. Of course, I made more for it, but that was just the ones I had. Now, I decided to go ahead and go into Design Space and show you the cutouts that I had designed for her mum. They were already designed and everything. I didn't film like cutting them out or anything. But these were all the ones she got, and so there was the FFA one, and I did that in 3 sections. But I'm gonna show you another way you could do it. Make that on top, and then you can slice it or splice it. I cannot see what it says from here. It's too small. But anyway, the button I showed you, and then it's going to be right there on the bottom left, right there. I'm circling it. Splice, right? And then you see it cuts it out into the design. The only thing I don't like about that is, and then of course you've offset it for your backside, and I'll show you just a second why I don't like doing it like that. Now you have to watch, see that little cut right there? I want to make sure I take that off because I want that bottom piece to be a solid piece. The reason why I don't like that is because that little bitty triangle in the A, I would have to save that and hope that it didn't get ruined when I was weeding and, you know, pulling these pieces off the mat. But I'd have to save that and then try to glue it perfectly on there. So I would rather cut out the FFA letters and attach those FFA letters. That's just easier for me. So whatever you find is easier. Now if you look, I'm going to show you what all the fonts were that I used. This has been offset and everything, so I can't make any changes to it. It's been welded together. I added the cheer on top of the I and, you know, welded that together, welded all the letters except for the first letter, the A. I was really happy with her name. I thought it turned out really good. And then here's the megaphone that was on the flower. Now I did on that, I was okay with splicing the EF because there wasn't going to be any little tiny pieces that I was going to have to do. And I'm showing you the sizes. The flower that I used on hers, I can't remember if it was a 6.5 or a 7.5, but it was one or the other. It was probably whichever one I had more of. And then she's in powerlifting, and then she's in, I forgot what they call it, some kind of club with a shotgun. We kind of hid that in the mum because we weren't sure. We were like, it's a school club, but we weren't sure if she'd get in trouble for having a gun on her mum. So we kind of hid it down on one of the braids down low, and it was small, so you kind of had to look for it. But nobody said anything. But like I said, you really had to look for it to see that it was on there. We just weren't sure if that would be a big deal or not. And then I forgot to show you what font I used for the E and the F. And if it's a Cricut megaphone, like if it's a Cricut design, it shows you what the design number is. And there it is on the flower. I really like that. You can see the FFA, you can see the weight. If you look way down there, I'd put one of those Hoko 2023s, but I already had several of those cut out. And it's on that braid that's to the left of it. I don't know if you can see that. And then the baseball glove, I already had that. She plays softball, so I already had that cut out, so I put that on there. And on the Hoko 2023, I actually put a pin on the back of it, and I pinned it to her mum. It was not permanent, because she's one that likes to reuse her mum sometimes. She's done that throughout the years. I'll make a mum for 1 year, and the next year she'll wear one of her old ones. So I wanted to make that removable so it wouldn't have the year on it, or she could take it off if she wanted to. Okay, now this is another local school, but they did order from Etsy on me. From Etsy, and didn't know that I was local. It was funny. She didn't know till after she ordered that I was just basically 15-20 miles from them. But this one has a 30-inch skirt. The other one had a 24-inch skirt. And I color blocked that one as well, white and silver, and then red on the other side. Now they do have black with this school too. Red and white is the main colors, but they are okay with accenting with black, or most of them are. I think adding black always makes the colors pop. I like it better with black. Same with like burgundy and royal blue and orange and all of those colors. I like black with them too, because it just, to me, it makes it pop more than if you were just doing like red, white, and silver. But some people will, or some schools will say, no, I don't want, we don't want black. We don't, it just needs to be white and burgundy or red and white. I've had those, and they still turn out cute, but my preference is that it has some black in there too. You just need to make sure with your customers that what they're okay with. Again, I'm attaching some bling, and I'm attaching it the same way with the ribbon. And I've already got some trinkets, some embellishments. Volleyball, so I've got a big volleyball ornament hanging there. That's what the big white one is. Those came from Hobby Lobby in the Christmas section. Another tip from Connie is using a half backer to attach your skirt. That way you can go over the top with the stapler like I just showed. So you're not trying to go from the side and not be able to reach in the middle. You can go down from the top. Always coming up with those time-saving tips at Connie, and frustration-saving tips. So here I've got a scrap piece of ribbon, and you see me, I'm going to put a couple of staples in there and make a loop, put a couple more staples. Now I can hang it and I can work on it much easier, and then I can cut that off when I'm done. Again, on the left I'm showing you a video of the finished mum so you can see all the little details and stuff and see how it turned out. And again, I'll show you a screen recording of Design Space on either all of the cutouts or most of them, so you can see the size, how I sized them and stuff, if that helps you with your mums. And that's that loop chain. I've got mavs on it. And there's several layers on those loop chains. Each of them has at least 2 layers, some of them 3 or maybe even 4 on some of them. You can see those big loops are all doubled. And then they're layered with a pretty ribbon, and then I glued those cutouts, the mav cutouts. I did a lot of red and white and silver on this mum, which with black, a little bit of black here and there to really make it pop. I was really happy with the design. See, there's a little bit of bling trinkets. Black trinkets. There's a little bit of black bling. And then there's some black in some of the cutouts and just a little touches of black here and there that really made it pop. There's a zigzag braid. You can see it on the left. I attached it to the left side, but you can see it on both. You could just see it just a second ago on the left side of this screen. But now that I made with multiple colors. There is black in that. You can see that. I'm sure there's silver in it too. Silver, white, black, and red, it looks like. Or maybe just silver, black, and red. I don't know. It's hard to tell from here. Then a victory braid. Again, that one has black in it. I like to do my braids in different colors too, so you may have noticed that on the last one too. There was like an orange and white, and then there'll be like a black and white, and orange and black. So I like to change them up and do some with all 3 colors. Again, I think it makes the braids pop when you do that. You can see there on the left too, I gave her lots of fun stuff. I gave her a sublimated tag that has volleyball. There's a keychain with volleyball stuff on it. Alright, now that's a whip braid, and that one was done in red and white. See those scraps? I'm going to save those because I might be able to use those for loops or for, hanging bling or hanging a little necklace for this part. So keep all those scraps. I have a box that I just throw that stuff in. Now whip braid was kind of going a little to the left, so I kind of had to move it a little bit and re-staple it. Kind of picky about how my braids hang, so I will mess with them quite a bit if I don't like where they're at. And this is a Mobius, and that is done in red and white as well, with red glitter layered. See, that's on the left, that's the Mobius that I'm hanging on to. So it was red and white luster, and then I layered the red glitter. You see how I'm coming down from the top stapling? That's why you want to use a half backer. It is so much nicer. It'll save you so much frustration, because it can be hard to staple the stuff in the center, the stuff in the middle is hanging down. So if you go down from the top, so much easier. And then this is the military twist. That's what we call it in this community. I don't know. Actually, Connie calls it twisted military or military twist. I had already had a braid that I called the twisted military, so when she showed this, I was like, well, I got to call it something else. So we agreed on the military twist, but I think her video may still say twisted military. So one or the others if you're looking for the video or the tutorial. So I learned how to make it from her. And I had made it really long because I knew I wanted to twist it around and do something fun with it. I mean, it's a twist. You got to twist it, right? So I am going to attach it to this whip braid. Sometimes I will hot glue when I'm doing this, and then other times I'll use a staple or maybe both. It just depends on which one I think is going to work better for that particular thing that I'm working on. I know it's hard to see what I'm doing because my arm's in the way. And I am going to put a bow there too when I'm finished, so any staples or anything you can see, it's going to get covered up. I don't think I actually stapled through the whip braid, you know, like smashed it. I want to say that I took the end of the stapler, the back side of the stapler that's thin, and went down into the ribbon of the whip braid and stapled it like that, so that way I wasn't smashing the whip braid together, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to twist the other end of it. Alright, I've zoomed in on it, so hopefully you can see that a little bit better. I know the quality is not going to be as great zooming in that close, but I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put the end of this at. If I put it on the victory braid, there's a chance it'll pull the victory braid over and make it kind of go in front of everything else, so I have to be careful about that. Then I decide I'm just going to put it on the whip braid still. Now, stapling or gluing a braid to another braid will kind of move it around, and it might make it a little wonky and stuff, so you have to be prepared for that. And you'll see the whip braid kind of curves a little bit after I'm done. But, you know, once you decorate and everything, it's fine, it looks good, and it gives it something, you know, unique and fun by doing stuff like this. I like doing different things. I like having some different touches. Some people like doing that. Some people like classic look. Whatever you like, you stick with that. If you want to experiment, experiment. If you want to stick with certain designs, then stick with certain designs. You do you. Never going to tell somebody that they need to make their mums like me, or make their braids like me, or do this like me. Find what works for you and do that. If I give you ideas, if I help you in some way, that is great. That's wonderful. But you do not have to do things like, exactly like me or anything. Yeah, it does stay. See, I don't know if you could tell, but I went in there with the stapler. I went into the ribbon, so I wasn't like stapling the whip braid together. And it does kind of leave some gaps in the ribbon too. So again, that's why I'm going to attach a bow there, and that will cover up the majority of that. So just be prepared for that. If you do something funky like this, you're going to have to deal with, some little, I don't want to say mess ups, but it's going to cause something that's going to have to be covered up. So you will have to embellish. That's where the bling comes in, and the bows come in, and trinkets and stuff like that. Cutouts, whatever. Foam cutouts. Whatever you've got. Cute, cute. So it's a little bit classic, but it's got this little funky twist to it, so that's what I like. I want them to be walking around and someone go, oh wow, that's unique, look at that. So there's another close-up of it. That military twist I did in red luster, and then I used a metallic silver. And I'm going to add some bling to this sophomore trinket. They're just so plain, and there's so much space on those star trinkets that I like to add bling to them. And I am hot gluing the bling on there. Some of those have self-adhesive stickers on them, but I still like to use hot glue. I know hot glue is still not permanent. Bling can fall off, but it's going to be better than the self-sticky kind, I would think anyway. You could use something more like Beacon's 3-in-1 or something, but that has to set and dry. And for big, heavier blings, I will do like hot glue on one side. On the back of it, I'll do like hot glue just on one little piece on the back side, and then like beacons on the other side. Try not to get too much where they're like mixing together, but that way like the hot glue will make it stay immediately, and then the beacons will be more permanent once it dries. That's my thinking anyway. And I do that on some of the cutouts too. And I'm just looking through my embellishments and looking for some fun stuff to add to it to embellish these braids. I do have a little bit of trouble with this bow, like deciding where it goes, and I start out here and I think that's where I ended up putting it, but I moved it around. I do like to put a few bows on the mums, and at least one bigger bow. Depends on the size of the mum, but definitely on like the bells and trinkets, I'll put like some little bitty bows like with organza ribbon and stuff like that. And then, the bigger the mum, you can go bigger with the bows. So this is where I did end up putting a bow up here, but I ended up doing a different bow, but this was giving me a hard time. I was trying to twist that on there, and I don't like if you can see the chenille stem, which is what I used around the center of the bow to twist it on. For whatever reason, I wasn't liking the way it was laying or something. I don't know. I don't remember. But I know I ended up moving that. And then the volleyball ends up falling off because I'm messing with it too much. That in the center of the bow there is a button. So if you go in the sewing department, like at Hobby Lobby and stuff, you can buy really pretty blingy buttons. And so all you have to do is run the chenille stem through the back of the button and then put it in the middle of a bow. A bow. It's so pretty. So I'll use those. I've got a lot of blingy buttons, and I'll try to get some in different colors, but a lot of like silver ones. And then on these bigger mums, the more expensive mums, in the middle of these bigger bows, I will definitely put that on there. And I let my daughter have a little cameo on here. She picked up the volleyball for me since I was messing with it so much. Fell off. And then I put some hot glue on the end of it. That way it wouldn't come off again, or more than likely won't fall off this time. And I'm going back to my original place. Sometimes I just cannot decide where I want something, or I just can't get it to look right somewhere. You know, like on the volleyball, I just couldn't get it where I liked it, so. I think I glued it on there and twisted the chenille stem on there as well, if I remember correctly. Most of my bows I don't glue on because I can't tell you how many times I'll end up moving bows around, just like you were watching. Even when I think I've got it where I want it, I'll end up, like, when I'm done or almost completely done, I'm like, no, I want this bow somewhere else. And if you've got it glued on, then you're screwed. So I'm constantly moving stuff around. And then also, if they don't like something, I like that it can be untwisted and taken off, stuff like that. Taken off, moved around, whatever. So it's just my preference to mostly tie a bow on, staple it on. I'll staple the chenille stem. I won't staple through the bow. I'll staple the chenille stem to the braid or whatever, and I've shown that a bunch of times. Not focusing very well. I think this is the bow I end up putting on that volleyball. And I was trying to show it's a button, and this chenille stem is through the back of the button. So you don't have to glue those buttons on. You just run that chenille stem through it, and so it's not going to fall off. They have some really pretty buttons at Hobby Lobby. And you can get blingy buttons at Walmart. You can get them different places. And then I have the ones like the footballs and the basketballs and stuff like that. If you watch my videos, you've seen me use buttons a lot. That one's just a small red bling button. I think both of those ribbons were Sam's Club ribbons too. They have some really pretty wired ribbons that they get throughout the year. And I think they're, what, like $8 a roll, something like that. 50 yards, if I remember correctly. So really great prices if you have a Sam's Club membership. See, I just think bows just add so much to a mum. And I try not to put them on the guys' mums. I will put some bows here and there, but it's usually like, to me, a more masculine mum. Here is the logo that I put on the flower, the cutout. And I forgot to check the back piece. You know, I always like my back piece of my cutouts to be a solid piece, and I forgot to do that. So that black piece was not solid. But, I mean, it didn't affect the cutout. It you know, you can't tell on the mum, but I personally like it to be a solid piece. It's easier to work with. The red was a solid piece, but it was not fun. So this is what it looked like before I messed with it and worked with that. That was one of those that I had to really work with to get how I wanted it. Again, see, I didn't make that a solid piece, so you just hide all those contours and then you'll get a solid piece. But that's almost exactly like their school logo, so I was happy with that. And then I did their names, and I did sophomore, and I used different fonts for all of them. I like to use different fonts because, like, I might, you know, just because I liked one font for sophomore doesn't mean I'd like it for Ella or Eli. Now I'm pulling that information up so you can see the fonts. If you see one you really like, most of my fonts come from Creative Fabrica, and the link to Creative Fabrica is in the description. It should be, I know it's in the description of my other channel. You can see I did the names in 3 layers, showing you the sizes. So if you like the sizes I used, you can use that as a guide. You have to go over to the right to get the information to come up, the font information. There it is. I have lots of fonts, and they all come from Creative Fabrica, almost all of them. I will warn you, it's like going down a rabbit hole, though. If you start searching their fonts, you could spend hours just searching fonts. Now here is another one, and this is where the Mavs, Hoko 2023, and the love with the volleyball. And that is the stencil too. You can see the stencil font, and I spliced those so the stencil was in the actual circles. And that love design was a design on Design Space. That's how I layered them. The Hoko 2023 is something I designed and welded the pieces together. The way I layered those was I silver on the top and then white underneath the silver, but I didn't want the white like offset, so I made it the same size as the silver, and then the red offset. I didn't want the white as an offset, I just wanted it underneath the silver, if that makes sense. I didn't want it coming past the silver. And there's the layer, so you can see where they're welded together, so it comes out, cuts out as one solid piece. I really like that. So you just have to spell those out, put them together, and then weld it all together. And here is the finished product. You see the Eli and the Ella Kate, I did oversize them a little bit on purpose. That's what I wanted. I wanted their names to stand out, and I knew the mom could handle it. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, comment. Please be kind with those comments. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Happy mom making, happy crafting, and I will catch you all on the next one.